We are now going to look at the transport of carbon dioxide in the blood. About 5% of this carbon dioxide is carried in the plasma of blood, and 10 to 20% is going to combine with hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin. Carbaminohemoglobin is the union between carbon dioxide and hemoglobin. So carbon dioxide will pass into the plasma from the tissue cells due to its concentration gradient through diffusion. It will combine with water inside of the red blood cells, and this combination is going to form carbonic acid. So CO2 plus H2O inside of the red blood cells after diffusion from the tissue cells will give us H2CO3 under the action of carbonic anhydrase, which is the enzyme. Most of this is transported in the cytoplasm of red blood cells as hydrogen carbonate ions. This is due to dissociation. This carbonic acid is not going to stay as carbonic acid. It's not stable as carbonic acid. It's going to dissociate into hydrogen ions, so H+, and hydrogen carbonate ions, so HCO3-. This H+ is going to change the pH of the blood. So what does hemoglobin do? It acts as a buffer. It accepts this hydrogen ion and forms hemoglobinic acid, which is hemoglobin plus H+, gives us hemoglobinic acid. This is in order to avoid having the H+ change the pH of the blood. And what happens to the hydrogen carbonate ions? They pass out of the red blood cells by diffusion, since there's a concentration gradient. And in turn, chloride ions are going to pass into the red blood cells, and this phenomenon is what we call the chloride shift. So this is the chloride shift due to the diffusion of HCO3- to the outside of the cell. This is all at the level of tissue cells. Now, at the level of the lungs, we are going to have the opposite. The carbon dioxide concentrations in the lungs are low. So carbonic anhydrase is the enzyme, is going to catalyze the reverse reaction now. So the dissociation of carbonic acid into carbon dioxide and water. And now we have a lot of carbon dioxide in the red blood cells. We don't have a lot of carbon dioxide in the lungs. We have a concentration gradient. So carbon dioxide will diffuse out of the blood into the lungs and we can exhale it. So all of this, the transport of CO2 from tissues to lungs, is dependent on the reaction of carbon dioxide with water, which is controlled by carbonic anhydrase. So carbonic anhydrase is the key enzyme in the transport of carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs, where we can exhale them through the blood.